May 31st, 2022. Working on the engine bay today. First thing was to remove the battery. Take that out, clean all around it, and clean the battery. Next step was to remove the air cleaner and clean that separately. The next step was to remove the hood blanket, the hood insulator. And here I rinsed it, and then I rinsed it with tough stuff. I didn't use any brush. I was very careful not to damage. But then I used a vinyl and upholstery dye. Worked out really well. Where is it? No, I'll get that later. But anyway, it worked out really well. It's got like 3 coats of dye on it, and you're inside the garage here, so the lights aren't the best, but it looks great. So next was to what the guy on the internet referred to as dry cleaning it. Get the vacuum, get a brush, get a wire brush, and get as much debris off as possible before rinsing it down. What I did not do is rinse the engine bay with water. Didn't do that. Instead, I used well, I did rinse it in a sense, but I didn't use the hose. I used a spray bottle with a very light amount of soapy water. And I worked all that soapy water in with a series of brushes, like so, like so. Use these brushes to work it in, and then I got a bunch of terry cloths, and this is kind of fun. Of course, I still got some crap on the here's what's going in the washer. You can see there was an awful lot of, I don't think this engine bay's ever been detailed. So use a mist, and I used a wire brush, and I just lightly wire brushed the top of the intake. Came up pretty good. I used a little bit of lacquer thinner where I had gotten some grease on it and wiped it off with lacquer thinner, and that worked out fine. Removing the air cleaner is pretty simple. This bolt right here, these 2 connections, these are air, this connection right here. Removing the headliner was pretty simple, but I didn't realize that the headliner had a ground on it, which is kind of cool. So, got a warm day here today, so it didn't take long at all for the hood blanket to dry out. So I could paint that, again, 3 coats. Okay, then I wet it down again and wiped everything with towels. More brushes. And cleaned off all the oil, anywhere that was on there left over from the new valve cover gaskets. Also put new coils and plugs in at the same time. Save a little bit of labor. Okay. Use the, I actually have the Ultimate Black. And this stuff rocks. This is great. I used a series of brushes to wet brush it in. Keep in mind that there's some skips here and there which I'll go back and correct, but that Ultimate Black really does a nice job on the plastic and the hoses. Do not use it on the belts. I think what I'm going to do here is I've got some outstanding product. It's called Reattach. I highly recommend it. It's what the boat people use. I live about 15 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, and it's salty and it's humid, and these guys swear by this product, Reattach. Now I know there's all types of rust arresters out there. Use what you want, but this stuff has always been great. So there's no holes or anything. There's a little bit of surface rust under the battery. I use that, but I also think it's just a matter of painting it on, and it turns black. I'm going to use it on these two towers and maybe a couple other spots. But it turns black, which is turns iron oxide into, or rust into iron. Okay, so that's about that. Looks great. The other thing I did, previous text YouTube videos, I put a new. By the way, look at the paint on the hood. Oh, that's the other thing I forgot to say. I used the spray wax, Meguiar spray wax, and I mean these areas here were really dirty. So you can see they came out really well, really good. Okay, so the spray wax is a key, and get it on there and then kind of wipe it off. Pretty simple. The other thing I put on last week was a new cowl cover, and as it came from the factory, it was a little chalky, so I used that Ultimate Black today on that, and it really looks good. Really darkened it up. Here's the third brake light in the back, which is very cool. The other one was red, and it was completely deteriorated from sun. Okay, my trusty vacuum cleaner that's almost older than me. It's a really, I know this is silly, but it's a really good brand, Miley, made in Germany, and it's lasted, I don't know, decades, 4 decades. So that's my trusty vacuum. So it's a major thing to get done, the engine bay and the hood liner. And I'm going to rest, and then I'm going to go work out. Okay, thanks for looking, everybody.